Yeah, let's go to the first questions, and thank you, Ali, for preparing all of these. Yeah, they are good questions. Okay, so are you from Vancouver, or what brought you to the area?
No, I'm from America, from Philadelphia, and I moved to Vancouver because there wasn't a massive professional game development scene in Philadelphia. Once I got to a certain point of making games, basically once I released my first couple commercial games, I was in a tier separate from most people in the city, and I wanted to be surrounded by people that were smarter than me, and the city definitely has that. Yeah.
I don't know. There's how many people might be smarter than you. But when did you come then?
I moved here in 2015.
15,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
What did you think, I guess, apart from other devs being here, do you think there's anything else that draws people to here specifically?
I mean, it's a really beautiful city. It's got a lot of pursuit of nature and really good food. But I mean, yeah, development seems like a big aspect for me. I have my criticisms of it as a city. But I think there's a black hole effect that's happened where if anybody in Canada who is making games, because towns in Canada are so far apart and so small generally, when someone got to a certain level, they want to move somewhere to be with other people in the community, and Vancouver ended up being that community for a lot of people. And then once some people started moving here, people who wanted to move with other people also moved here, and then we started blackballing people out of America into here and other countries too, including me. So yeah, I think there's been this Katamari effect of we moved to here.
Yeah. Let's go Vancouver.
Yeah.
How did you start making games?
I Google searched. I was making webcomics for a long time in the mid 2000s, and then I wanted to make a video game based on my webcomic. The webcomic was really bad. I was in middle school, and so then I Google searched Game Maker and found this beautiful software, and then started making really bad games, and then got more excited about making that than my bad webcomics. So I switched to doing that, and that's how I started.
What is this game like?
That's Wolf. It's really cringy. It's a really short form narrative adventure game where you play as this woman who she gets bit by a wolf and she turns to a werewolf and she kills her whole family, and it's really it's the rain comes down and she's really sad about it, and it's really bad.
Where can I play it?
I'm gonna take it down actually. But it's on Games right now, I think. Yeah.
So what are some games from your childhood or early life that impacted you as a game?
Those ones. How did you? Those ones. I like these ones a lot. Yeah, these ones impacted me deeply. But also Smash Brothers and Pokemon. I grew up on Nintendo. I was a Nintendo kid, so a lot of those games, their aesthetic and their playfulness really inspired me when I was deciding what kind of games I wanted to make. I got a PlayStation 2 also, so I played Shadow Colossus and stuff. There were a bunch of games on there that I really enjoyed also. But these are touch my childhood soul, yeah.
What about them do you think touches your childhood soul?
These games, okay, well, Earthbound has a really specific personality to it, and I think as a young person, I played this game when I was 12. And it was the first time I played where it was really clear that someone had made it. I could really feel someone's voice behind it. And that really got me thinking about how I could also make games. It was I have a voice, I could make funny characters that say things too. And yeah, Wind Waker has a very playful and expressive world. It's very silly. And that got me, I don't know, yeah, I have a personality that's like that too. So I guess just seeing that played out in adventure games, got me, I could really see myself in those games basically. I could see a world where I could also make stuff. So as a young person, it was really inspiring.
Are you more like Toon Link or Ness?
More like Toon Link for sure, yeah.
Okay, you don't need to elaborate. Let's move on. You've been releasing games since 2008.
Yes.
So how has the world of indie age changed since you first started? And do you have any predictions where it'll go? Big question there.
Wow. It's changed in every way imaginable since back then. Yeah, I mean, I also feel I've had such a weird, I've had a really weird trajectory through the industry, in the time since 2008, because in 2008 I was making freeware games on really small communities, and I feel I also made mobile games, and I made Steam Early Access games, roguelike that I did that one time, and And I've existed like every tier of like success too. So I don't know. I feel like I don't have a really good perspective, high-level perspective on, like there's a lot more games happening now. That's definitely a big difference from back then. It felt like at the time, like in 2008, when I made like even like a really cringy game about a guy with a sword, like that would get posted on indiegames.com, which was like the big website at the time, and it would blow up. So it really felt like, even though like I don't know, it's a lot more competitive now. Like someone starting out fresh, I think has a much harder time standing out in today's scene. So yeah, that feels really different to me. Where do I think it'll go? Jeez, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like it feels like we're, okay. My hope and like something I can really see happening, because I feel like right now budgets for games are just going up constantly. Teams are getting bigger. Like your average indie game is so much more expensive and like beautiful looking than your average indie game in 2008. And I don't feel like that's a sustainable thing. Like most people don't actually make things that look that good. And what I would love is for there to be like kind of a rebirth and excitement for things that look really bad and are really ugly. I think AI actually kind of like leads into that too, because like AI art, for example, has a very specific aesthetic, which is good in one context, but like AI doesn't make like bad art, it doesn't make like personal, like heartfelt things. So I don't know, I would love to see more excitement for like games and just art in general, that character too, that's like bad and weird and cringy, like my shitty 2008 Wolf game that I forgot about.
Did you ever have any aspirations to join a larger team or studio?
Yes. Besides those games I played in my childhood, actually my first window into the industry was when I played God of War on the PlayStation, and that game came with a DVD that was like the making of the game, which was a big deal for me because I didn't like know that was a career, and I watched that DVD like religiously, like a lot. And it's really crazy to look back at too, because if you can go, like, I think it's on YouTube, you go back and watch it, and it's like everything wrong with the industry is like laid bare there. It's like all white guys, it's all crunch culture, like people get talked over all the time, and like people are like suffering and sleeping under their desks, and and I was watching that and I was like, I want to be there. I want to sleep under my desk. I want to like kill myself making like the coolest game ever. I don't know why I was that kind of person, but I was. I mean, I guess I make indie games, so yeah. But yeah, like I was really attracted to that vision of like being part of a team and making a big project. And for a long time, that was my goal. Like I went to university and stuff, and I was doing indie games and also thinking like, someday I'll get like a real job and work at a big studio. And I think partly because I was in a city that didn't actually have like opportunities for me to grow, and partially because I found that I had a lot of fun making games at the small scale I was making it. At some point I realized like, oh, this is actually going pretty well, and I don't actually need a job to get what I want out of this work anymore. But yeah, I had at that point I've been making games for years, and like it took that long for me to realize like, oh wow, I could actually just do that,
What are some lessons from the early games that you still carry today?
Nowadays, because I make professional games, and it is a job for me, right? And I have to do things with the mindset of I'm gonna make money from this. But I try to still remember the pure-hearted joy of making stuff, especially when I was making all these games. Like the Balloon was a freeware game I spent 2.5 years on, or a year and a half or something. I just did these things because I loved it. I just loved the process of making it. It was just fun to make up stuff and make an adventure with pirates in it. And I try to keep that creative spirit in the stuff I do today. I think the other big thing that I've never let go of is the mentality to always be finishing stuff. I think people in our space have a tendency to want to perfect things and just sit on ideas and work on it forever and never talk about it, never release things. But I was from a very early time making and finishing games, releasing it and getting feedback on it, and then putting that feedback into my next game, instead of just iterating on an idea forever or starting a new project before I finish the last one or whatever. I think those habits have they're a very good thing that I've kept with me. So yeah.
So some of your early works include JRPG style games like The Balloon and Phantasmagoria. There you go. So what's it been like to return to the genre with your upcoming game, Beastieball, which you should go wishlist and play the demo. It's really fun.
And like I was just saying about keeping that creative spirit, it's actually funny to me because making this game now is so much harder than it felt like it was back then, even because I know so much more. Like making Phantasmagoria was like, well, I really like Chrono Trigger and Earthbound and stuff. So like all those stuff I'll just kind of like put it all in a big pile and see what happens. I don't know, whatever, right? And now I like think about this stuff so much more seriously. And so I work so much harder to make like everything I put in so much more refined. And because I guess I'm also coming from the perspective of I know so much more how to make publicize things and market things and try to make something that looks really good. Like I have a bar of quality that I want everything to hit, So I don't just roll out of bed and just throw my first idea in the game. I sit around and think about it and test things and talk to the team and do sketches that someone else does a better version of, It's a very different process. But really there is this actually speaks to this game. So this is my first commercial game that I did entirely by myself, and it was a really big deal for me. It was the same year Indie Game the movie came out, so it was this big dream. Everyone was oh my gosh, indie games, you make indie games, make money. And I had been making games for years already, so I was my first big commercial game, and it did pretty badly. I mean for selling a game, how do I put this? I had this idea I can make $1 million, and it did not make $10,000, so that was a big blow to me, my ego. But I think an important one, and something also that it did was it instilled the fear of God in me, and really make games make money. But it also it forced me to go back and focus on my craft a lot more, because these are games that I made with a lot of playful, naive joy. And then I realized you gotta really try to make good games. You don't just So I spent a lot of time in other genres learning stuff, trying to grind on my game design skills and my art skills and art direction skills and writing skills and all that kind of stuff. So that now I'm kind of coming back to this game okay, I actually built up skills, and I think I'm actually decent at making games now. So I'm gonna try this again, but better. That was kind of one of the things I was thinking coming into this game. And I had the idea for Beastieball a long, long time ago. I did not come into it because I was didn't feel I was ready yet personally, to do it. So yeah, that was a long answer. Sorry.
That's good. And if you don't know what Beastieball is, it's like Pokemon with volleyball.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more charming.
Yeah.
I think it's more. I think it really is more charming. All the little things that go into I love how the character, when you run, it's the cartoon wheel, the wheel spinning on your legs turn into that, stuff like that. Just really charming.
We put a lot of work into the creature designs also, and that's not all me. But yeah, so they're all kind of animated. It feels like a 2D, an anime cartoon kind of thing. It's really I'm really proud of that project. I can't wait to talk about that someday. Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so your games have spanned many different genres and styles. How do you come up with game ideas?
I usually start with a really specific, a very small core idea or feeling. With this game, it was I really like Dominion and I really like Spelunky, and just could you put those together somehow? Wandersong was that's a musical adventure game. I started making just a little musical instrument on a controller with no characters or nothing, right? It was just making music with a controller, and then it was okay, I gotta build a game out of that, So yeah, basically with those starting seeds is usually a really specific feeling to those that little seed, they talked about earlier with Penguin Developer. They had that first Penguin prototype that had a really clear game structure to it, even though they only did it in a day. So usually I try to find that one little seed that in that first day kind of has a really clear bent or direction to it, and then I just sort of build on that for years and years and years, and then I release it. Yeah.
Sounds good. And specifically for I guess you kind of talked about Wandersong a little bit. What about for Chicory?
Chicory, that one was, so Wandersong is a game where you make music and you go on an adventure and the whole time you're making music. And then I was could you do that but for drawing? And there are a lot of games that have drawing in it, but I had never seen a game, like usually in a game that has drawing in it, usually it's like, it's actually some other kind of game, but then there's a drawing mode, you know, like, oh, Okami, like, it's basically Zelda, but then sometimes you paint, or Drawn to Life, like, it's basically a platformer where you can, like, draw parts of your character and stuff. And I was like, no, I want to be, like, drawing at all times is the main thing you do to interact with stuff. And I tried a bunch of ideas that were related to that did not work out. Like, for example, it was like, oh, what if it was a platformer and you drew the platforms to jump on, but then it was like, oh, well, there's no way to make a good platforming challenge to say limit where you can draw, and then if the limit you can draw, then you're solving puzzles about how do I allocate my drawing resources or something. It was just like, it sucked. But yeah, so Chicory, the idea was like, okay, no, it's just like the whole screen's a canvas. You can draw anything anywhere, and the game is like, encourage you to do that. Yeah, that was kind of the gist for that one.
If you don't know what Chicory is, it's like,
oh yeah.
I guess I probably should have said this earlier, but it's a top-down adventure game with like map squares, and the whole big map is a big grid. But each map square is basically like a page from a coloring book.
Yeah, canvas. It's basically a Link's Awakening like structured game, but you can draw anywhere on the screen and you solve puzzles by like drawing things and coloring things in. And characters will like ask you to draw things for them, and or do like art classes and stuff. There's all like kind of goofy humor to it.
And all the characters are named after food.
Yeah.
It's also very charming. Greg's games are very charming. You should play all of them.
Yeah, if you have that much time.
Ooh, okay. So with Wandersong, you described like a shift in the view of how you design games for a greater focus on feeling. Where did the shift come from, and do you continue to approach design this way? And this is a bit of a...
Yeah, it's a leading. Yeah, so yeah, there was, between making that roguelike deck builder game and Wandersong, I did I rode my bike for 5 months across all of America, which was fun. But it really changed my outlook on life a little bit. Like, it was a very challenging experience, but it also, like, I don't know, I met a lot of people from a lot of different places, and I just got really high on, like, the human experience and meeting people and how great everyone is, and I don't know, just feeling love for everyone. And that also, I guess, like, coming back to working on games, I feel like I had grown up as a person and also wanted to start really thinking about, like, why I want to make certain things. I think up until then, and I guess I've touched on this topic a couple times, but it's like, approaching games in a very naive way where you just kind of like think about things you like and just like put that in the game thoughtlessly, which is fun to do. But at some point it was like, what do I actually believe in? Like, what do I want someone to take away from playing this game? Like, what do I actually want to say to somebody who's playing the games I'm making, right? And Wandersong really came from that place. It was like, okay, like, up until then, I'd just been making games where people just like kill each other with swords all the time. And I was like, I don't fight with swords. Like, I don't believe in swords as a way to solve problems. Why am I making games about that? So I was just like, what can I make a game that's like actually authentic to what I believe in and like says things that I, that speak to me personally. And that's what Wandersong kind of, one of the places that I came from. Yeah.
So what's the core message?
Yeah, I mean, it's about that, like, just like trying to like love every, humanity, just be a nice person and yeah. And it's also about like being a person who has no skills in a situation where like the world is ending and everyone really needs like a hero with a sword, but you're just the person who sings. And it's like, how do you manage, how do you be a person like that in a world like that? Because that's how I feel. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the Vancouver Indie House? And can you share some fun or memorable stories from that?
So this is an historic entity in Vancouver's indie scene, apparently. So it's a house in Richmond where me and a bunch of friends live together. I moved in like a couple years after they had been there already. But yeah, it was a house that had a bunch of like cool game developers, including, I think most notably at the time, the team that made Towerfall. So like, this is like a local multiplayer game, and they would like throw awesome house parties and also be making this awesome like party game that was like developed in kind of that context. But yeah, like a lot of other big games came, like we kind of started there, including Wandersong and Iconfell and Night in the Woods, and I don't know, probably a bunch of other ones. Yeah, so it was just the house basically where a bunch of us like lived together and made games. Really fun. And yeah, I mean, yes, the house parties were pretty legendary. And also like anytime there was like a big event, like for example, like PAX or like Felindy or something, like people would come from out of town and like crash at our house. And I definitely have memories of like just like a basement full of like bodies, like sleeping bags, just people like strewn everywhere because no one, you know, it was all needs. Like no one actually had money, right? So they would just like come and just sleep there. Yeah, that's so fun.
So yeah, like we've touched on Wandersong and also Chicory use sound in really interesting ways. So when did this kind of musical fascination come to be?
I think, well, everyone can agree that music is really cool, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, so I have always liked music. I think it kind of happened by accident, basically. Like with Wandersong, it was a game about music. I mean, I think music is really cool. I did sing a lot when I was riding my bike for all those months by myself. And also, like, if you're ever in a car and you like, I don't know, music just sounds better in a car and sing along with it. So I don't know, like, I don't have like that. That was like my, like, I'm not a professional musician or anything, I guess is what I'm saying. But I have this very, like, casual, you know, appreciation of music, and Wandersong was coming from this place of just like the joy of expressing yourself and the joy of, just joy in general. In that game, to make that project, I brought on for the first time like a full-time sound designer and a musician who like made music for the game, which was pretty cool. And then those people were just awesome to work with. It's Shell in the Pit, not Power Quality, but the other really awesome indie sound studio in Vancouver. And so we worked together on Wandersong, and basically like they influenced me into making all this awesome sound tech and cool sound design for that game, and then that just rolled over into Chicory. But I mean, it's worth doing. It makes the games better. Like I think everyone should be excited about how awesome sound is in games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the thing you like the most in the Wandersong sound design, or like little tidbit you like the most?
Oh my god, the thing I like the most. I pick something stupid, right? Well, okay. All the voices are really really fun. There's really no way for me to tell you what's cool with them. My favorite little detail I can think of right now is there's this one part of the game where you go into like space. It's like you go to a spirit world. And if you turn down the music and you tap dance, because you just like a button to just like dance, if you do that, the footsteps you make in the space spirit world make little arpeggios, like to the rhythm of the music. You can barely hear when the music's up really loud, but if you turn down, you hear them just like doo, 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 doo. It's really great. Yeah, the game is just full of bullshit like that, though. Yeah.
How do you find good collaborators, people to work with, and how do you find the things you're looking for?
Yeah, I feel like I've been really, I feel like I've been really lucky, because I don't feel that it's not like I've like worked with a lot of people and rejected them. Like I guess it hasn't not happened, but it's not like I'm like constantly like, throwing out people I work with until I find someone good. It's like, I feel like I put a lot of faith in people I work with. And I guess I also I look for personalities that I jive with really well. Often people I work with are like my friends first, and that is like a really good ground to sort of build like a creative relationship on, because when you share like a sense of humor and you share certain values, it definitely is easier to talk about, talk through difficult subjects and like difficult creative problems. I feel like I have a lot of friends in the game scene now, but when I was starting out, I was in tiny webcomm communities, and then tiny game developer communities, like on the Game Maker forums or on Game Jolt or whatever, like 2008. And I feel like I made a lot of friends who were like in the same place as me, kind of learning the same things, So I didn't spend a lot of time with people that were smarter than me for quite a long time. I spent a lot of time with a lot of other kids that were really stupid also, and then went on to do amazing things like make Towerfall or whatever. But at the time, they were just just another 12-year-old kid on the Game Maker forums. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel like those long-term friendships and finding my peers that were kind of at the same place as me in development was I don't know. This kind of was the ground for a lot of stuff I built today.
So how do you keep your games interesting or challenging while still giving players room to express themselves?
Well, actually, I gave a whole talk about this at GDC once, which you can totally watch on YouTube. But to sum it up, it's really hard because people, creative tasks people do this for like, how do you call this, intrinsic reasons, right? You make something because you want the joy of making something, and if someone gives you a reward for it, then it usually makes you not want to do it, which makes it insane to make indie games, but yeah, there's been studies on this, right? If you like pay kids to draw, they don't want to draw anymore. And like, yeah, games mostly focus on external reward, right? Like, beat this boss to like earn a bunch of levels or get treasure and stuff, right? Which is really works against what makes people want to do creative stuff. So the real way to do these things together is to just like put them as far apart as possible, where basically like, okay, there's parts of the game that have external stakes and you earn rewards for doing it, and then there's parts where you do things that are like just to have fun and create stuff. Like a really good example of games you would know, like Minecraft, right? It's a game you run around, you dig stuff, and then you can build your house, but those things are almost completely unrelated, like in the game, right? It's like you can spend a lot of time building stuff or digging, but they don't, and they do like, they kind of like loop into each other, but they don't like, you don't like make stuff while you're digging, right? And Animal Crossing, like building your house versus like going out like grinding on like fishing and finding plants and stuff, like those are separate activities and separate spaces where you do those things, and they feed into each other, but they don't like happen at the same time. If that makes sense, you know? It makes those games, it's like Hidden Ingredient makes those games like really fucking good too, and they have both of those spaces to do those things, so yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about business. So, business. Yeah, so you've successfully run 4 Kickstarters for your games. What continues you to continue using it? Like Beastieball, the most recent game, also was there. And can you share some advice for devs who are interested in doing something similar on crowdfunding platforms?
I don't know how else to announce games at this point, honestly, if you're not part of like a AAA initiative or something. Like Kickstarter for me has been awesome because it is like a very clear call to action that's tied to your announcement of your game, and you start making money from the first day, which is awesome because like I really need money. Yeah, I also love that it comes with built-in community. I feel like doing a Kickstarter, like I guess like actually to speak to something Dylan said earlier, like indies, like we have a tendency to kind of hide away and like not want to announce our stuff. And I feel like a Kickstarter is as good a motivation as like a Steam Next Fest or anything else to think early on about what your game looks like and how it's going to show to people and what are you going to say about it and like what is your your elevator pitch, whatever. Because yeah, like you need to figure that stuff out to have a successful Kickstarter, and it's a very useful exercise to do when you're early on in your project. So I really like for that reason. And then I don't know, I do really well with the community stuff. Like I don't feel. I guess because I just like making games, and I actually usually release my games when I say they're going to come out, which is pretty unusual.
Yes.
But that means I have a very good relationship with my Kickstarter community, because I'll say like, hey, we're making this game, it's come out in 2024, and then it'll actually come out in 2024, like that's, I don't know. So I don't get a lot of the stress that comes often with those campaigns where people promise, And all you do, by the way, so however long you think your game's going to make, just double it. Or like add at least 1 year, or double it, whichever is more, and that's when it's going to come out.
Good advice.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to people who want to start making games now?
It is definitely like, if I was starting from zero, I would be daunted. But I think like I said before, like finding my peers basically. Like finding people that were at like my same place in development to work with, I think was a really big source of success for me later on. And making a lot of games, I feel like like part of what makes like nowadays feel like so high pressure is that there are a lot of games that look really, really awesome, and it's tempting to want to compete with those. But you just have to make a lot of bad games before you make good ones. Most people do, I guess. Maybe not everyone. I had to. I made a lot of bad games before I made any good games, and I feel like that's just a necessary part of everybody's growth. And you just gotta like do that part first, So don't sit around like waiting to have that really good game idea for your game that's bad to suddenly turn good. Like you should just finish it and start another one and learn from it. Finishing games and releasing them is like the best learning. Seriously, the best learning. Like even finishing or releasing a bad game is so much better than like never releasing a good game. So yeah, fuck you, Shigeru Miyamoto.
Do Beasties be Ballin?
The Beasties? What the fuck is that?
Is it to the Beasties?
Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, the Beasties absolutely beat Ballin.
Where does the inspiration for Beastieball from?
I really, why did I do this? I watched Haiku during the pandemic, and that really got me fired up on this, but even before then, I have been for a long time thinking about a game about building a team. That was like kind of like that was the feeling that the game kind of started from, is like, you have a bunch of different personalities, and you get a bunch of them together, and you build a team with them, and and they like bounce off each other, and they learn from each other, and they get stronger, and they like become friends by playing something together, you know? That was kind of the idea, and then the idea to make it volleyball clicked a bunch of stuff in my head. And then to make them like little monsters clicked a bunch of stuff in my head. Because another thing was that for a while, at least early on, I thought they might be people, like the game of managing people, but monsters are so awesome for this because they don't have to talk, you don't have to write dialogue for them, and there's no way for them to like act out of character. Like they can just make goofy little faces, and you infer so much information into them that like it gives more than it takes. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this game's gonna be so freaking good. In my opinion, you don't have to like it, it's okay, but I think this game's gonna be so good, so yeah.
Okay, well thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
I think we have a little bit of time for questions.
I tried to answer really fast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a little bit of time. I got one over here. We can go to the back after.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for the talk. Really important. So you mentioned at one point how you thought it was a lot harder for people that are into the game scene right now because the bar for entry is so much higher. I was curious about your thoughts about the inverse of that, about how it seems like there are a lot more people getting into indie dev, especially in Vancouver, and how that community, like this very talk itself, can help facilitate other people getting in, how that can spitball and roll onto that.
Yeah, I mean, like the nice thing about indie games is that, it's still a lot easier to sell an indie game than it is to sell like an indie rock album or an indie film or an indie comic right now, right? I mean, if you make an indie game, yeah. So, like a lot of people play games, and a lot of people actually go and like buy games every day, which is crazy. Like, who buys movies anymore? Or music, right? So it's not a bad place to be. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like, there's totally opportunity out there for people making games. And yeah, I mean, I guess I enjoy sharing knowledge, and like yeah. I'm not sure how to answer your question about like how do things like this specifically, help people, but I hope it's helpful, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, going to the back.
Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate your talk, and thank you to everyone who's come here today as well. You mentioned that you played with mechanics of music and art, which are traditionally underutilized. Are there any other sort of non-traditional mechanics that you want to explore in the future or think would be a good game base?
You're trying to like gank my next game before I honestly don't have like it could be cool to make a game about game design, but that's like literally just a sentence, and there's nothing backing that idea at all. I literally don't know like what that is. So yeah, you can gank that. You figure it out. You can gank that.
Okay, here.
So as someone like yourself has released a lot of games over time, and of, as you've described, various qualities. I'm interested to hear what your relationship to your games is after they come out. Do you play your own games? Do you go back to old games, ever play them and critique them? And also, if you play Beastieball, who will be your starter?
Actually, yeah, so this guy right there, that's my starter right there.
Good choice.
Yeah. The only game I want to go back and play is the roguelike deck builder one, because it's got like procedural generation, and so I still think be surprised by it. It's really fun. And yeah, Beastieball actually has some procedural-ish stuff. Like I actually like playing this game too. So I suspect I'll want to come back and play it after it's out. But a lot of my other games, like they're very story-focused, so they really are like a snapshot of like where I was at a time in my life. and it's not like a thing I want to go back and revisit all the time, not because I hate myself. It's just like, you know, it's like, oh, reading your own diary or something, you know, and it's just not as interesting. It's not fun. I go through a big roller coaster for sure every time a game comes out, like, because I get so personally attached to it. I mean, if you release a game, you put out the game, and like people like it, but it didn't make like $3 million, and you're like, oh man, well maybe it wasn't that good after all. But then you find then like people find out about it, and then like the community grows around it, and then I don't know, yeah. Our games have a very special, like, we have, especially like Wandersong and Chicory, have a very special relationship, like a very special community around them, which has been, like a really nice part of my life, I guess. Like, people who play our games are like really connect with them, and I get like very heartfelt messages about that pretty often. I guess I have this feeling like, we made something that has connected with people, and that's really nice. Yeah. But I don't want to go back and look at it.
Thank you.
I'm looking around. Oh, right here, sorry.
Hi there, Greg. Thanks for the talk. I have a quick question about what's it been like having a team out of nowhere, coming from being a solo dev to like now you got art directors and people building a lot of other things. Was that easy for you, hard for you, or just how's that experience been for you?
It's been like, so Jesse's talking about like for Beastieball, like the team has definitely grown. Like Wandersong was me and 2 people, then Chicory was me and like 4 people, and this one is me and like an ambiguous collection of like between 5 and like 10 or 15 people, depending on the week. It's still something I'm adapting to. I do think like there's a lot of things we couldn't do in this game without help. Like that's why those people are there. There's just a lot of skills that we needed that I didn't have. But it does also feel like, I don't know if it feels like the way that other big teams feel. I guess I haven't been on other big teams. This is sometimes I wonder what it would be like to work on like a real game projects team. But like for us, it's so centralized. Like I still end up looking, like every single thing that everybody does in the team goes through me. Like I have to put it in the game. Like I'm the person who implements all the stuff. I get feedback on all of it. So I still feel very hands-on with the project. And I don't know what it would be like for like someone to make something I don't know about, I have yet to experience that in making games. But as far as managing people, I have to say that I really do like it. I think I'm a social person, and I like working with other people, and I like all the ideas I put into the game. The real thing that was stopping me from doing it before was that I didn't have money to hire people, but now we do, thanks to Chicory. I'm really enjoying working with more people, and like I'm excited about the opportunities to like, do more of that or include people like who are closely to the project. But it's like I've just spent my entire life going from like just a kid drawing bad web comics to suddenly a kid doing this. So I'm like still figuring out like how to change what I do to adapt for other people. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, last call. Okay, it seems like we're good. Thank you,
All right.
Greg.